A good day to you, grade 12 learners. Welcome to another lesson in tourism. My name is Stanford Sitole. Remember that this lesson is brought to you by the Department of Free State Education in collaboration with Pagama Research and Development. We are continuing with reminding each other and revising some of the questions that are in your final question paper. And today we're going to look at question 5, question 6, and question 8. We just hope that the time will allow us to do as much practice as possible, and then we can complete at the end of the day. Our objective for this lesson is to prepare you again for the upcoming exams so that you'll be able to perform well. That's why we're looking at question by question. In the previous lesson, we looked at question 2 and we also looked at question 4, which was on icons. And I believe that you also took time to practice on your own and you are now experts in those particular questions. Let's immediately go to our first activity for today. Let's look at the World Heritage Sites. There is a map of South Africa in front of you. And the instruction says that provinces A, B, and C have 2 World Heritage Sites each. Name the provinces and the World Heritage Sites. So far, you've studied 10 World Heritage Sites this year, and it may be difficult for you to actually remember all the 10 World Heritage Sites at a go. But the activity that you're going to do now is going to assist us to try to remember the heritage sites that you've actually done in the year. So if you look now, we are given 3 provinces. And what can you note about these provinces? All the provinces that we have here are actually situated along the coastal area. As you can see, Province A and Province B, they actually share the Atlantic Ocean. Part of Province B and part of Province C, or Province C, they are in the Indian Ocean. So that's one way of actually remembering that the 3 provinces that actually have 2 World Heritage Sites each are found along our coastal areas. If we're able to remember these 6 heritage sites, including the location as well, it will be easier for us to actually remember the remaining 4 provinces or the remaining 4 sites which are World Heritage Sites. Now, we need to find out the names of the 3 provinces, and we also need to find out which World Heritage Sites are found in these places. And if you can look, there's something that I actually did with the arrows here. If you look, the arrows are pointing to almost the exact places where the World Heritage Sites are actually found. So it's very important for you to know the exact location of the World Heritage Sites as well, because you might find that Province C has 2 World Heritage Sites. One side is right here near the coastal area, on the coastal area, and the other side is here next to a neighboring country. So they might give you a map like this in a question paper, and they put a mark probably here near the country, which is this particular country here. I'll call it country X for now. And then you need to know which or what is the name of the World Heritage Site that is found in this location. Right, boys and girls, I'm just going to give you a maximum of 2 minutes for us to find out the names of these provinces as well as the World Heritage Sites that are found in these provinces. Remember, you don't need to refer to anything else or to your notes. This is the information that all of us must be knowing by now. I've given you a hint and I've told you that these 6 World Heritage Sites belong to 3 provinces. And these provinces are located along the coast of South Africa. We have Province A here, and then we have got Province B, and then we have Province C. And then our 2 minutes is going to begin right now. Welcome, boys and girls. I'm extremely proud of you. I know that most of you got this correct. Actually, let's start and let's look at province C. Let's identify province C. Again, what is the name of this province? Yes, the name of the province is KwaZulu-Natal. Right, so now if we look, there are two arrows that are pointing to the province. So let's start with this particular one that is next to this country that we have not identified. So what is the name of this country? There are two countries on the map that have not been identified. So we can label this as D, and then D is a country that is named Lesotho. So as we can see, Lesotho is closer to KZN. So now if Lesotho is closer to KZN, we know that this is a very mountainous country. It's closer to mountains, and therefore the World Heritage Site that is closer to this mountainous area is none other than, yes, correct, Maluti Drakensberg Park. Right, excellent. So this is a World Heritage Site which is closer to a country of Lesotho because it's a mountainous area. Maluti Mountains in Soweto and in Lesotho, I beg your pardon. And then we also have the Drakensberg Mountains on the side of South Africa. And then if we look at this other one that is closer to the coastal area, what name did you give to this one? Yes, Isimangaliso. Wetland Park. Very good, boys and girls. And then now let's move on to province B. Let's first identify the province, which also has two World Heritage Sites. And what is the name of this province? This province is known as Cape Town, Western Cape. That is the name of the province. Province B is Western Cape. And then let's try to identify the World Heritage Sites that are in Western Cape. As you can see, that the other World Heritage Site is just outside the province. And remember that this area is surrounded by water. So what can they tell you? That can only tell you that this area is an island. And then the other one is inside the province. So this one, which is inside the province, is known as the Cape Floral Region Protected Areas. Right, good. And then this one that is outside, which is an island, obviously the name will also end with an island, is known as Robben Island. So it's an island full of seals, and in Dutch they call them Robben. And then now we come to province A. As you can see that this is the largest province in South Africa, and province A is very good. It is the Northern Cape. Right, and then now we need to identify the two World Heritage Sites that are found in this province. If we can look, the other one is closer. It's actually surrounded this part. There's a country this side. The country that is this side is Namibia. And the country that is just above here is Botswana. So this particular World Heritage Site is actually surrounded by these particular two countries, which is Namibia and Botswana. And that can tell you that this is a semi-desert area and is inhabited by the descendants of the San people. And this one will be the Komani Cultural Landscape. Very good. And then the last one, which is on this side of Namibia only. So this one, Komani, is surrounded by Botswana and Namibia. That can be another hint if you want to remember it. And then this one, which is here, is only surrounded by the country of Namibia. And what is this name of this heritage site? It is the Richtersveld Cultural and Botanical Gardens. Right, there you go, boys and girls. You have actually managed to see the location of 6 World Heritage Sites. And how do we get to know them? We're saying that there are 3 provinces that share or that have 2 World Heritage Sites each. Is the province of KwaZulu-Natal, the province of Northern Cape, and the province of Western Cape. They each have 2 World Heritage Sites. And then we've actually used this particular map to identify the location of these World Heritage Sites. We started with KZN and we said that the World Heritage Site that is closer to Lesotho is Maluti Drakensberg because it's closer to the mountains. And then the one that is closer to the Indian Ocean, this will be our Indian Ocean, it's Isimangaliso Wetland Park. And then we came to Province B, we identified it as Western Cape, and we said that the World Heritage Site, which is closer to Table Mountain, is Cape Floral Region Protected Areas. And then the one that is just outside the province, it means that it's an island because it is surrounded by water. It's Robben Island. And then we also identified the 2 World Heritage Sites that are found in the Northern Cape. So it's Komani Cultural Landscape, as well as Richtersveld Cultural and Botanical Gardens. So there we have it, 6 World Heritage Sites. If you are given a map of South Africa now, you can easily identify these sites. And now let's look at the 4 remaining sites that you have studied this year, where they are situated and in which provinces they are actually situated in. Right, there we go, boys and girls. And again, for this particular activity, I'm going to give you another 2 minutes. We need to find out the location or the name of the provinces that are labeled D, E, G, F. And then after we do that, we need to write down the names of these World Heritage Sites that are found in these provinces. And then that will make it our 10 World Heritage Sites that we've actually studied this year. It will be easier for us to remember. So always have this mental picture in your mind that there are 3 provinces that have 2 World Heritage Sites each. And then we have other provinces that have 1 World Heritage Sites each. And also keep in mind when we are looking at these particular provinces, you will realize that there's a province or there are provinces, or actually there's a province that you're not going to mention as to it having World Heritage Sites. So I'll ask you a question again later. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to be able to find out or write down the names of these provinces, as well as the World Heritage Sites that are found in these provinces. Our 2 minutes is going to begin right now. Welcome back, boys and girls. And today I can see that we are indeed cruising, right? Let's see if we're able to identify the provinces that are appearing on this map. Right, you have province D. What is the name of the province? Here, province D is the beautiful province of Limpopo. I see that most of you got that correct. Province E, we can see that this is the province of Mpumalanga. Province G, this is the smallest province in the country, and that's where is the commercial hub of the whole country. That's where most of the money is made, and this is the province of Gauteng. Right, and then F, this is the province which is in the middle of the country, as you can see for yourselves. Therefore, this is the province of Free State. Right, now that we have identified the, the 4 provinces, let's try now to look at the World Heritage Sites that are actually found in these provinces. Right, for province D, Limpopo, what did you write down? Yes, correct, that's Mapungubwe. Cultural landscape. Very good. And then if we look at province E, it's Bebeton, Makonjwa Mountains. Right, province F, the attraction is actually somewhere here between the province of Free State as well as Northwest, and this is the Vredefort Dome. Right, and then the last one, which is Gauteng. What did you write down? This is fossil hominid sites of South Africa. Right, there we go, boys and girls. Do you see how this exercise was actually easy in reminding us the names, the locations of the World Heritage Sites, the provinces where they are located, which is very important, and how they are actually located on the map of South Africa. Because if we're given this question and we only get a map of South Africa and we get letters just like as I've shown you, then you must be able to know which World Heritage Site is located in which direction, what must be the name of the province, and the exact location of that particular World Heritage Site. And not forgetting that we have got 2 landlocked countries. The one next to Mpumalanga, we have Eswatini here. It's closer to Mpumalanga, and then the one that we have here, we've already identified it, and we said that is Lesotho. Right, so that is our 10 World Heritage Sites. We looked at the 3 provinces that have 6 World Heritage Sites altogether, and therefore we looked at the 4 remaining provinces that actually are home to the 4 World Heritage Sites that we just looked at. And again, let's remind ourselves, because it's not enough to know the location of the World Heritage Sites when you're using a map of South Africa, but you also need to know the description of why these places are World Heritage Sites. And remember, why are they World Heritage Sites is because they have been identified by an organization which is called UNESCO. I think we looked at this at one of our lessons, and we said UNESCO stands for, what did you say UNESCO stands for? United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. So this is an organization of countries in the world. They come together just because they realized that during the war, around most of the time during the war, most of the World Heritage Sites were being destroyed. And then they came together to have an agreement to say that even if the countries are engaged in a war, they cannot destroy the World Heritage Sites. And remember, one of the characteristics of the World Heritage Sites is that they are unique, simply meaning that once they are destroyed, we can never have them because they are one of a kind that are actually found in the world. So if we lose that, we lose part of our very important history in our human life, and which can never be recovered. So UNESCO came together and then decided that the World Heritage Sites are going to be protected. So it's an ongoing basis. World Heritage Sites are being discovered, and even in South Africa recently, our list has been added. And I'm not going to talk about that because I just don't want to confuse you. Let's focus on what we have just been doing now. But going back to the World Heritage Sites that we have looked at, what is important that I said you need to know after the names of the World Heritage Sites and their location on a map of South Africa, we need to know the type of the site as well. It's important to know whether it is actually a natural or a cultural. And how do you know whether it's a natural or a cultural? Nature, something that is a gift of nature, a gift from God. No one can actually claim to have created that particular space. And then culture, it has to do with our lives as human beings. It touches our lives in a certain way. So if it has to do with our lives as human beings, then that becomes part of cultural heritage. If we go back to Isimangaliso, which was proclaimed in 1999, this was the first World Heritage Site to be proclaimed in South Africa. And what makes it a World Heritage Site? Once we say a World Heritage Site, it simply means that it is no longer a property of South Africa as a country, but it becomes a property of the whole world, meaning that it's a site which we are hosting, but it's a property that belongs to everyone else in the world. So we are graced with 10 most important sites like that in South Africa. And if we look at Isimangaliso, what actually made it to be part of the World Heritage family or group is that it has a rich diversity of habitats and ecosystems. You find that here there are coral reefs, there are different reeds, there are different dunes that actually exist in this particular area. And another thing that makes it so important is that it has exceptional biodiversity, different types of animals and plants that coexist in that particular area. And there is no any other area like it in the world that is similar to this one. It houses, or it's a home to many bird species, turtles, whales, and even hippos. There are a lot of hippos in this area. So there is a lot of animals. There is a lot of plants which are endemic or which can only be found in this particular area. That makes it to be very special. And then if we look at the fossil hominid sites, which is also known as the cradle of humankind, why is it so important? We can see that this one is considered the place of humankind where the first hominid was found in 1924. So in this place, there are several fossil sites which were found by the Italians when they were looking for gold. And fortunately, they found some calcium, which is used to make Colgate. So they also found a Mrs. Place in this particular place, a hominid which was stuck to a rock. And then when they looked at the traces of this particular hominid, they found that it dates back as far as 3.3 million years ago. And remember that before the discovery of such, there was another discovery in Tanzania where they thought that Tanzania was the cradle of humankind. But after this discovery in South Africa, it was agreed that life indeed began here in South Africa, because when they tested or when they looked at this hominid, they found that it was older than any other hominid that has been discovered in any other place in the world. And therefore, since it was said to be the birthplace of humankind, it has been given a World Heritage status. And that's why it is so important and it needs to be preserved. And it is an active site because a lot of work is still happening in that part of the town. Right, when you look at Robben Island, this one has undergone many different facets. It has been a hospital at some point. It has been a prison at some point. It has also been a base for the army. But what makes this one to be a World Heritage Site is because, excuse me, it's because of the former president, Nelson Mandela, who was actually imprisoned in this place for 18 of his 27 years that he spent in prison. 18 years of them, he spent them here at Robben Island. along with other political prisoners, were banished here. They were working on the rocks in this particular place, and then it became a World Heritage Site. When you look at Maluti Drakensberg, this one, besides, it takes two phases. It is a cultural site as well as a natural site. Why part of culture? Is because there's a large concentration of rock art paintings that are found in these mountains. And also we've got a lot of endemic bird and animal species that are found here. Excuse me. Right. So this one makes it to be a mixed World Heritage Site because there is part of culture and there is part of nature that are found in this particular place. So because of the large concentration of rock art paintings, as well as the beautiful birds and animal species that are found here, it is indeed a mixed heritage site. Sorry about that. And then we come to Limpopo, which is Mapungubwe. This one is a cultural site. And what makes it to be very important is that when you look at Mapungubwe, it dates back all the way to the Iron Age. So it was people staying in an area, they were civilized during that time, and they were able to trade with people as far away as China, as far as the Arabian countries as well. And they were able to trade in gold as well as in ivory. So that's why when you talk about Mapungubwe, you'll always find that sign of a rhino, a golden rhino. So around 1300, it ceased to exist. People believe that sometimes it was a disease that attacked the people back then, and then it just actually evaporated like that. So Mapungubwe shows that people were able to organize themselves, and they were able to lead or run that particular area, as well as trade with other countries which were far and wild. And it dates back all the way to the Iron Age. So that's how important it is. And then we've got the Cape Floral Protected Area. This one is very important because of the 18 biodiversity hotspots that are in the world. It has the richest animal plant life in the world as well. And 69% of these species are endemic, simply meaning that they are only found in this area. And as you may remember that the fynbos is one of the most common plants that are found in this area, and it can adapt to fire. If it burns down, it regenerates itself. That's what makes it to be so special. Right, we also have the Vredefort Dome. This one is a crater. We believe that a meteorite collided against the Earth. That was almost 2 billion years ago. And then what did it do? It actually formed a crater. It was 300 meters or 300 kilometers wide, but most of it actually, it eroded, and mountains are left which are around 70 kilometers wide. So it's a meteorite that had an impact against the Earth. That happened almost 2 billion years ago, and then it formed a crater. So there's nothing like this in the world, and it is found here in South Africa and in the Free State, which is on the border of the Free State and the Northwest. And then we have the Richtersveld Cultural and Botanical Gardens. This one also is important because of its biodiversity hotspot in the world. The area is dry. It's a semi-desert, but you find that there are special types of plants that grow there, and most of them are called halfmans. I don't know if you've seen those types of trees that look very short. Sorry about my drawing, it's not as beautiful. But these plants, they actually grow without any water in this particular area, and they thrive here, and they're called halfmans. And another most important thing that we found in this particular World Heritage Site is the history of the Nama people. So these people are still living a nomadic lifestyle, and I hope you know what nomadic means. It simply means that people, they don't build permanent houses. They move from one area to the other. So they don't build permanent structures. So they're always moving. and they've lived this life all their lives. And most of the time, they're using traditional methods for survival, and they're still there today. And that's why this place has been recognized as a World Heritage Site, just because there are people still living there. And they use traditional medicines if ever they've got any challenges with their health. And then we have Komane Cultural Landscape, the one that I showed you, which is closer or in the border of Namibia, as well as Botswana. We have a small group of San people that are still living in the area, and they trace back to the Stone Age as well. And they're also still living their primitive lifestyle. They've not been diluted or westernized in a way. They are still living as their forefathers have been living in that area. And this also area has been actually identified as very important to South Africa and to the whole world, and it is a World Heritage Site. Right, and then we have Beaverton Makonjwa Mountains. This one, it shows the sites that have best preserved sedimentary rocks. And when they actually looked at some of the rocks, when they studied them, they found that there were some traces of life that dated back to 3.6 to 3.5 million years ago. And that's how special the discovery was, that this particular area was actually cordoned off, and then it was given a World Heritage status. So now, what I just wanted to show you was, over and above us locating where the World Heritage Sites are and knowing which ones are there, we need to understand the description. Why are these places World Heritage Sites? Sometimes you don't need to have or to know a lot of information, but you must have clues of information that if we mention Robben Island, or if the question now comes and say, name a World Heritage Site that was a home to political prisoners, already you know that is Robben Island. So it's important to also have to know the description for each and every World Heritage Sites that you have studied this year. Right, as we are moving on, I'm just going to give you a little test, and we're going to do it together. I'm not going to give you time out, but we are going to complete this task together. And there is the first question that goes, and it says, name a province in South Africa that does not have a World Heritage Site. Right, we were able to identify 3 provinces, and we also identified 4 provinces. Right, and then we said that there is an attraction that is shared by 2 provinces, which was the Free State and Northwest. So here we've put a question that says, name a province in South Africa that does not have a World Heritage Site. Right, so if you think of what we did, we looked at provinces along the coastal areas. If you remember, how many provinces did we look at? Yes, we looked at 3 provinces, right? So how many provinces are along the coastal area? Very good. We have 4 provinces. Some of you have got it right. So which province did we not actually include in our discussion as to actually possessing or hosting a World Heritage Site? Right, let's find out. Let's check. Right, it is the province of Eastern Cape. Most of you got that one correct. And then all the other provinces is either they share a World Heritage Site or they are hosting a World Heritage Site. Probably there are so many beautiful sites in Western Cape, and I know that work is underway to actually claim or proclaim some of them as World Heritage Sites. Right, let's look at the second question. State 2 aspects UNESCO looks for when considering sites for World Heritage status. And remember what I said when I was actually explaining to you. I said that a place cannot be declared a World Heritage Site if it is just common, if it is just an attraction. So this place must be different from other places, or it must be the only of its kind in the world. Remember, UNESCO has got 10 criterion that they use to ascribe to these World Heritage Sites. And if we look at criterion 1 up until criterion 6, they talk to cultural heritage. What places must actually possess so that they can be given a cultural World Heritage status. And then if you look at criteria 7 to 10, it actually focuses on the natural heritage part. What criterion must places possess for them to be given a natural World Heritage status? So now, state 2 aspects UNESCO looks for when considering sites for World Heritage status. Let's look at some of the answers that you might have come up with. So number one, we say that they must be of outstanding universal value. So they must mean something to the whole world, not only to the country, not only to the province or the local area, but they must make a contribution or be of some value to the whole world. And secondly, they must meet at least 1 out of 10 UNESCO World Heritage selection criteria, right? It can be something, it can mean that we're looking at history of the living or the dead, the impact that they actually had. We can see especially the life of Nelson Mandela. So that's why Robben Island can be given that status, because he's an important person, not only to South Africa, but he's been an important person to the whole world. Right, let's look at some more questions. We've got one of the criterion here. It says to bear a unique or at least exceptional testimony to a cultural tradition or to a civilization which is living or which has disappeared. So which means that a place must fit this particular criterion. And then let's look at the question here. It says name one of South African World Heritage Site that matches the description in criterion 3 above. So we've got many cultural World Heritage sites that we've looked at. Which one do you think fits this particular criterion or description here, which says to bear a unique or at least exceptional testimony to a cultural tradition or to a civilization which is living or which has disappeared? Think about that for all the World Heritage sites that we have looked at that are cultural World Heritage sites, and you'll be surprised. Quickly write down the answer there. Right, very good. And you'll be surprised. In Mapungubwe, it is a cultural landscape. It shows we talked about a kingdom that existed there in the 12th century. Maluti Drakensberg, we spoke about the paintings of the San people. That is cultural because it has to do with human activity. Richtersveld Botanical Garden, we spoke about the Nama people, that they are still living in their primitive ways and they are still semi-nomadic. They are moving around. They don't build permanent structures or houses. Komani cultural landscape, again, we spoke about the San people living in their primitive ways as well. And then the fossil hominids of South Africa, we said that this is actually the cradle or the place where life began. So all these particular places, they meet criterion number 3 for them to gain the status of being a World Heritage status. Right. Now we are moving on to another question. But before we move to this particular question, I think we've covered enough to remind ourselves about question 5, which is World Heritage sites. So you see that you don't need to actually claim a lot of stuff. But once you can structure your studies like this, you can be able to remember in the exam which particular site falls where, and then the rest of the things are just actually going to fall into place. Right, let's go to question number 6 now. Marketing. This is one of the questions that are being poorly performed in the question paper. And you might find that they are being poorly performed because you as learners, you're not paying attention to the most important aspects of this particular question. And I guarantee you that even if you can pick any question paper from any year, you'll realize that the questions are the same. They might have been formulated differently, but they are the same questions just because they're looking for the same information. Year in, year out, they're always looking for the same information. And I'm going to try to help you to understand what is the information that these question papers or the examiners are actually looking for. And you have that information in front of you. In this question, as we have said that we are going to answer questions based on marketing South Africa, the role of SA tourism, brand image, the role of TOMSA and TPCSA. This is grade 10 work. The acronyms, we did them. The various platforms where South Africa markets itself and the relevant trade shows where South Africa is actually marketed. And this is the same information. Pick up any question paper from whatever year and you're going to see that the examiners are always asking for the same thing all the time. Right. Let's look at what the examiners are asking for. So this is the most important thing that you need to know and to remember. The importance of marketing South Africa internationally. Let's put this as number one. So which means that the first thing that you need to know is, why is it important to market South Africa internationally? Why are we selling the country? Why are we inviting people to leave their countries and come and visit South Africa, or not to go to other countries but to come and visit South Africa? Reason number one, to increase international awareness of South Africa as a travel destination. So SA Tourism markets South Africa so that it can increase the international awareness. We're saying that all the other countries can have the different attractions that they have, but South Africa has the best. So instead of going to Tanzania or to Kenya to see the wildlife there, you can come to South Africa. We've got the big five in one space. And what is the other reason? To increase the annual volume of foreign arrivals. When you looked at a lesson in South Africa, we know that before COVID, South Africa was reaching towards almost 12 million people coming into the country annually. And these are foreign arrivals. And you know the impact that foreign arrivals have in the country. They bring a lot of foreign currency. There are a lot of jobs that are actually created when foreign arrivals or foreign visitors come into the country. So the second reason why it is important to market South Africa internationally is that so that we can increase the volume or the number of foreign visitors that are coming into the country. So we're saying that instead of them visiting other countries, they rather come to South Africa. We've got the sun, we've got the sand, we've got the sea, we've got nature. So everything or whatever they're looking for is found right here in South Africa. That is the importance of marketing South Africa internationally. Number one, increase international awareness. And number two, increase annual volumes. We know that there are so many European countries that are actually having a lot of people visiting them. We've seen the backlash in countries like Spain and Greece, where they don't want tourists anymore. And this side of the world, we want many tourists to come and visit us, just because we know that when they come in, they're going to help us economically. Right, so that is the first thing. The first thing that you need to know when you're looking at this topic is, what is the importance of marketing South Africa internationally? Let's look at the second one. I'm going to put this as number two. The core business of SA Tourism. What is SA Tourism all about? South African tourism, what is it all about? Right, number one, the role of SA Tourism is to market South Africa internationally as a destination of choice. That is their job and nothing else. They need to sell the country, make sure that from the piece of a pie of tourists visiting different parts of the world, we actually have a huge chunk coming to visit South Africa. Right, what can be the second one? Maintaining and enhancing the standards of facilities and service for tourists. When people are in the country now, and we've promised them that we've got 5-star hotels, how do you know that this is a 5-star hotel? How do you know that this is the best that you can produce in terms of the attractions? And therefore, we work with, as SA Tourism works with industry associations to make sure that the best are delivered to people. When it comes to vehicle rental, they work with SAVRALA, which is the South African Vehicle Rental and Leasing Association. They can also work with TGCSA, which is the Tourism Grading Council of South Africa. So this industry association, amongst others, they help to see, or they help the service providers to adhere to certain standards, such that when the tourists come into the country, then they can meet the criteria of being the best. And then the other role that is played by SA Tourism is that they coordinate the marketing activities. Remember the example that I once made with you and say, right, imagine that you've got visitors coming to your school, and then they take out or they choose any three of you, and then they ask you a question, tell us about your school. And believe you me, all of you are going to tell a different story about your school. And it's not going to be a good story at all, because you never speak any good things about your schools, most of you anyway. But now, to coordinate the marketing activities, SA Tourism actually speaks with one voice. They go back to the industry, they go back to the service providers, and they talk to them. And then when SA Tourism goes out, they speak in one voice. So which means that whatever is being said about South Africa, we know that it is coming from the relevant authorities, and it is something that is genuine and is going to put the country in a very beautiful light. So that is number two. Number one, we need to know the importance. Number two, the role of SA tourism. Number three, the opportunities for marketing South Africa internationally. And what do you mean by that? There are places which SA tourism go to so that they can tell the people about the country, or where they can be able to sell the country so that the tourists can come in. And which ones are those two places? We've got ITB Berlin. We know that this one is the mother of the trade shows in terms of tourism, and it happens in March, and it reaches almost over 180 countries. So imagine a meeting place where there are people from almost all over the world coming to check which places they can send their people to. It's a good place for South Africa to market itself there. And the second one is the World Travel Market, which happens in, this one happens in London, which is in the UK. And then this one actually happens in Berlin, which is in Germany. So these are the two platforms, or the two places where South Africa markets itself. And then the question is, marketing is very expensive. For you to see an advertisement on TV, a lot of money is actually spent on that particular advertisement. So in this case, where does South African tourism get the money so that they can be able to market the country? They can fly there, they can take the material that is needed, they can educate the foreign people about the country, how beautiful it is, where they can stay, what is it that they can do when they come into the country, because also those people, they need evidence. So evidence need to be shown by SA tourism when they visit those countries. So now they need to have those pamphlets, those videos ready, and they need to have, or to put together, teams of people that will be able to handle questions when trade shows are actually happening. And therefore, where do they get their funding? Let's label this as number 3, and this one as number 4. We've got the TOMSA levy, right? We've got the TOMSA levy. And what happens with this TOMSA levy? You find that when a tourist comes into the country and he goes to a hotel that is participating in collection of TOMSA levy is not compulsory, it is voluntary. So which means that there are participating service providers, car hire companies, resorts, hotels, tour operators. So let's say that a tourist spends 100 rand, they charge that person 1% levy. And if they charge that person 1% levy, 1% of 100 rand is 1 rand. So which means that the bill for that person will be 101 rands. So what happens to this 1 rand that they have actually collected? Therefore, this 1 rand is collected by the company or by the business, and then that 1 rand, when it is collected, it is actually kept by the business. On a monthly basis, the business will send the money that they collected to TBCSA. Right, you know what TBCSA stands for? Tourism Business Council of South Africa. So on a monthly basis, all the companies, they put the money in the TOMSA levy. So the TOMSA levy is actually sent to TBCSA on a monthly basis. And then every 3 months, the money is actually sent to SA Tourism. That is what actually happens. When clients come and spend money, 1% is collected, or 1% is added to their bill, and then that money is collected as TOMSA levy on a monthly basis. It is sent to TBCSA, and then TBCSA every 3 months or every quarter of the year, they send it to SA Tourism. Right, what is another important thing that we need to look at? Right, this was number 4. Let's go to number 5. The 5th aspect that the examiners will always look for, the concept branding in South Africa. Just like as we have the famous brands that you know, Adidas, Nike, also SA Tourism is a brand, right? Every brand must have a logo, and also it must have a slogan, right? And the slogan is inspiring new ways. That is the slogan that you actually have there. inspiring new ways. So every time when South Africa goes out to market themselves, South African tourism, they have to display this logo here. They have to display this logo to show that we are a brand and we need you to buy us. And what are they buying? They're buying the products and services that are on offer from the different service providers in South Africa. Right. And then this is the brand of SA Tourism. That was number 5. Number 6, we're looking at platforms where South Africa markets itself domestically. So now, instead of going to WTM and instead of going to ITB, the ones that you mentioned here, these ones are international exhibitions or trade shows. South Africa attends them and therefore they showcase the country there. When SA Tourism is not attending these places, they actually host their own shows. And the first one is Africa's Travel Indaba. Right, what do you know about this? Right, you know that this is one of their events in the calendar, which they host every year in a KZN in Durban around May. So every May they actually host this one. It was rebranded Africa's Travel Indaba in 2017. So this is one of the shows that is hosted by SA Tourism. Now they bring people from all over the world so that they can come here at home and it will be easier to sell stuff when people have actually come to you. So you've got your backyard, you've got your background, and then you've got all the material and all the evidence that you can showcase to the tourists or the foreign visitors that they can be able to see of you while they're in the country. And this is not the only show that they have. They have another show as well. I'll put this as number 7, which is the Getaway Show. So now, a Travel Indaba is just like the ITB, but it happens here in South Africa. And all the other countries in the world, they send delegations or they send people to come into the country so that they can be able to see what the country has to offer. And besides this one can only be attended by business people. But the Getaway Show is another one whereby the country markets itself to the rest of the world. This one happens twice. It happens in Western Cape, and in Western Cape during the month of April and May. And it also happens in Gauteng during the months of August or September. And this one is open to the public. It's mostly about the outdoor life, the 4x4 trails, the tents, and all the things that the people can do for the outdoor life. So when we look at question 6 in a nutshell, this is what the examiner will be asking you. Excuse me. Right. Let's look at the questions here. And I'm going to give you 4 minutes for this particular question. And your 4 minutes begins right now. Welcome back, boys and girls. I'm sorry I'm a bit under the weather, but let's soldier on. I've given you 3 questions there. The first one says, give the definition of a travel trade show. And the second one says, SA Tourism uses Africa's Travel Indaba to market South Africa nationally and internationally, meaning that the people will come here. And also there are some businesses that can actually attend the trade show. Name one other travel trade show held in South Africa. And the third one says, explain the 3 steps on how the 1% levy collected from tourism businesses is used to market South Africa. Right, so the only question that they didn't ask us about here is to name the places where South Africa is marketed internationally and some other roles or the duties of SA Tourism. But in a nutshell, most of the stuff that I told you that the examiners would be looking for, they've actually asked them here. Right, so how did you define a trade show? Right, a trade show is an event where tourism-related businesses are given an opportunity to exhibit. So even if you wrote on your answer there that it is an exhibition, or it is a place where South Africa sells itself, or it's a meeting where other countries actually attend, and South Africa has to showcase themselves, still will be marked correct. So your answers need to be along the lines of an exhibition or an event that is tourism related, and businesses can come and buy the products or services that are being on offer. So someone might say it's an event where major role players in the tourism industry can network, or businesses can come and network. And someone can say it's where buyers such as tour operators negotiate for better deals with exhibitors. So this is an exhibition. I'm not sure if some of you have ever attended an exhibition. I think you might have attended an exhibition if you have had career days, or maybe you've interacted with quite a number of campuses, universities, or colleges under one roof. So you find that they have a stall and they have their material, and you go to them and you ask them about their college, university, what they can offer you, and they give you that particular information. So it is the same thing that happens in a tourism exhibition. You find that there are different stalls from different companies that are selling different products or services, and then the people that are willing to buy, they go to those stores, they ask for information, and all the information is given to them. Then they can be able to purchase or buy those types of goods and services that they want. And then the second one, the show that we have is the Getaway Show. And we said this one happens in 2 places. And then we've got Meetings Africa, Africa's Travel Indaba. This is one that is the question is talking about. The World Travel Market also have the African editions, and we find that the one happens in Cape Town. But I love question number 3, which says explain 3 steps on how the 1% levy collected from tourism businesses is used to market South Africa. And look at the number of marks that are actually given there. That is 6 marks for your taking. So in this question, it's 10 marks. And most of the learners, they score 0 on this particular question. And it is not necessary for you to score 0. Once you understand the 7 steps that I gave you from the beginning, let's look at how the steps are actually explained. As I've said, that businesses that participate, they collect 1%. It can be car hire, it can be hotels, it can be resorts, right? It can be tour operators. And I said these ones actually do it on a voluntary basis. No one is forcing them to collect the money from the tourists. So they collect the 1% levy. And when they collect the 1% levy, that money is put, is called the TOMSA levy, right? So that TOMSA levy is sent on a monthly basis to TBCSA, which is the Tourism Business Council. And then the Tourism Business Council actually pays this money to SA Tourism. This happens on a monthly basis between these 2 people. And then TBCSA pays this money to SA Tourism every 3 months or every quarter of the year. Can you see how easy these questions are? Especially if you can give yourself time to apply by looking at the importance of marketing South Africa internationally, and you also look at the core business of SA tourism. You look at the international places where South African tourism markets the country. You look at how they get their funding. You look at the two shows that are held locally that actually South Africa sells itself. And then lastly, okay, and then that should be the last one. So if you look at those 5 elements, it will be easier for you to actually perform better on this question. And then we're moving on to the last question for today. We're not going to spend a lot of time, but this one is mostly a grade 10 topic. 3 pillars of sustainable tourism, we know them. Which ones are they? It's planet, the 3 P's, planet, profit, as well as the people. What are the other names for the planet? It's the environment. Profit is the economy. And then for people, this is social. So we're saying that tourism shouldn't be about the bottom line, but it should also look at the welfare of the environment as well as the people living in that particular place. So in this particular topic, you also look at scenarios whereby there's corporate social investment, whereby companies, if they're making money from that area, what are they giving back to that particular area? And the most important thing that you also look at is the responsible behavior by tourists, the rules or the regulations that are given to them. How do they conduct themselves when they are visiting in that particular area? Do they add value, or they just come to disturb the life in that particular place? So there's a certain way how tourists should be able to behave environmentally, economically, as well as socially as well. So there is an organization in South Africa which is called Fair Trade Tourism. So this one gives certificates to companies that are actually doing these things right. So there are companies that must look at the environment and encourage their tourists to do the same. They're not only looking at the profit for themselves, but they want to encourage or help the community as well. And they're also looking at the people who are found in that area. So Fair Trade Tourism, it gives certificates to companies that actually perform well in these particular areas, right? And there's a question that I put here. This is the logo of Fair Trade Tourism, as you can see. It says, stay where your spend really counts. So this is a question that is taken from November 2022. Choose Fair Trade Tourism members. So it's encouraging and actually making tourists to look at that not all businesses take care of the environment or the people. Sometimes they are conscientizing tourists that you can be spending your money, but your money is destroying communities. Your money is helping to destroy the environment, or your money is helping to destroy the people financially. So they are certifying businesses that are looking at the environment, taking care of the environment, taking care of the people economically, and taking care of the welfare of the people. So this question is saying here, stay where your money, stay where you spend really counts. And it's a Fair Trade Tourism logo. What are they looking at? They're looking at the companies to have the following. For example, when you are given a certificate, or what they recognize in these companies, that are they able to perform social development projects? What are they? Infrastructure, education, capacity building, like giving skills to people to perform certain tasks. Health, sanitation, climate change, are they supported by these companies that are providing tourism services? Do local communities benefit economically from job creation, or they hire people that don't stay in the community? Are opportunities created for guests to contribute to socio-economic development? Businesses, like teaching them skills or teaching them some things about the neighborhood or the society where the tourism organization is found. Businesses buy goods and services from local suppliers. Do they support the local market? Doing business in an area does not negatively impact on the local community. So this question was basically saying that Fair Trade Tourism is encouraging tourists to spend their money where it really counts. And how does the money really count? The money really counts when the tourism business is able to fulfill some of the points that are actually given there. And then that place is actually certified as a place that does good tourism. And then there are questions that are given there. This is one of the most challenging questions that you really struggle about. But let's look at the questions that are given there. It says, give 2 examples of how fair trade tourism businesses are involved in social development projects. We looked at the question here, social development projects, and the question says, give 2 examples of how fair trade tourism businesses are involved in social development projects. By looking at the information that has been supplied in the question paper, when it comes to social development projects, we are given a couple of them here, right? So what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to choose any 2. Give 2 examples of how fair trade tourism businesses are involved in social development. So it simply means that these businesses that are certified by fair trade tourism, they are doing either one or many of the following. They're involved in infrastructure, education, capacity building, health, sanitation, and they're also trying to help mitigate the problems of climate change. Right, and then let's look at the second one. Apart from the social pillar, identify 2 pillars of sustainable tourism in the fair trade tourism criteria. So we're given a social pillar, but they're saying besides the social pillar, which other pillars do we have of sustainable tourism in the fair trade tourism criteria? Right, let's try to look there. We have got the social pillar, but besides the social pillar, which other ones do we have? Right, automatically, if we've looked at the social pillar, when I introduced, I talked about 3 pillars. Right, you've got the social pillar. So which other ones are we supposed to give here? Right, please note that down. Number 3, explain 2 ways in which certified fair trade tourism businesses contributes to the local economy. How can these businesses that are being certified by fair trade tourism, how do they contribute to the local economy? What do they do? What do they do in the local economy? How do these businesses benefit the local economy? Right? So we need 2 ways as well. Okay, this question needs you to focus, and it needs you to be able to follow what you are doing, and most importantly, to understand what the question is asking you to do. 2 ways in which the certified fair trade tourism businesses contribute to the local economy. So how do these businesses contribute to the local economy? Let's look at what they've given us there as well. How do they contribute to the local economy? Let's try to find from the points that were given there, the things that they do that actually contribute to the local economy. Right? Those that have eyes and those that can see can easily pick them out. But even if you cannot identify it, don't despair. We are coming to that. And let's look at the last question there. It says, give 2 reasons how the phrase stay where your money, where you spend really counts, would encourage responsible tourism practices. How would the slogan or the phrase stay where you spend really counts, how will that encourage responsible tourism practices? What would that say to businesses that are involved in tourism? And what would that say to people that are actually utilizing these businesses? What would it say to people that are coming from other countries and they see this phrase which says, stay where you spend really counts? So it can mean that other places, they are not actually giving them value for their money. They're just there for the bottom line, which is only the profits. But if the statement is saying, stay where you spend really counts, how does that actually encourage responsible tourism? Right, let's look at some of the responses here. The first one is really easy. 2 examples of how fair trade tourism businesses are involved in social development projects, right? So the projects are already listed on that part of the question: education, capacity building, and all of them are just listed like that. So now the trick with this question is that if you give or if you gave one response, you're actually given 2 marks for that. So if you fail to give a response, or you fail to identify or understand what you're supposed to do, you could have actually easily lost 4 marks, right? And then the second part says, apart from the social pillar, identify 2 pillars, right? As I said, that this is grade 10 work. Some of you might not have done the foundation in grade 10, but still, even if we picked it up in grade 12, we know that we have got 3 pillars. So if we can identify the social pillar, what will be the other 2 pillars? It will be the economic pillar, or the profit, or the environmental pillar, which is the planet. So basically known as 3Ps or 3PL. That is the triple bottom line, or the 3Ps. It's easier to remember it when you say 3Ps: profit, planet, as well as people. But still, you need to know that people is social, and then profit is the economy, and then the planet is environment. And then if we look at question number 3, it says 2 ways in which tourism businesses contribute to the local economy. How do they actually do that? Employment. This is one answer that you must never ever forget when it comes to the economy, when it comes to people as well. The local residents are employed by the tourism businesses. Or when they can ask you about the social aspect of it, people get employment from these tourism businesses. Tourism businesses buy supplies from the local markets, and they make use of local services, and they procure services from fair trade tourism practices. And remember, what was our question? Explain 2 ways in which certified fair trade tourism businesses contribute to the local economy. They employ people, and they utilize products from the local economy. And the last one, give 2 reasons how the phrase "stay where your money spent" really counts. How can this encourage responsible tourism practices? Right, if we can look now at the response that we have, it simply means that tourists can choose the services of businesses that have been certified, and they know that they are safe there. They are not going to spend their holiday feeling guilty, either that they're not treating the people well, or they're destroying the environment. So they're going to spend their holiday knowing that everything is well taken care of, and they're not destroying anything, but they're actually adding value and contributing to that particular community. It assures tourists that their money that they spend at these establishments will benefit the local economy. That's very important. And also, it shows other tourism businesses that tourists prefer to support the certified establishments. And this goes a long way. If most of these establishments are certified, we definitely know that the economy or the local people are also benefiting from that business that is actually hosted there. And then certified companies can collaborate to compile market packages which will appeal to responsible tourists. So here is about enjoying something for longer, such that even if people are not there, the generations that come after that will be able to enjoy the same things that you've enjoyed in our lifetime. So boys and girls, let's try again to go back, just like the songs that you're listening to your earphones. If you keep on playing it over and over again, I know some of you know all the lyrics, even where the singer makes a mistake or coughs or does whatever, you do the same thing, because you're always listening to the very same thing. So now this is the time for us to continue practicing as many past exam papers as we can. It's not the time to stop. It's not the time to be tired. It's not the time to relax. We've got this and we can do it. We've pushed the whole year and we're here now, and I think we can actually do it, boys and girls. So always remain focused, always remain switched on, and you've got this. Thank you for watching this lesson today. I'll meet you on our next lesson, and I'll say good.